Alright, so let's think. Do I want to write the normals in here? I mean, it doesn't really seem like I could. But I want to use the alpha channel as a mask, I think. It's because the waves are short that we're seeing this effect as well. Because I want to know the amplitude of the wave, and then I want to know if the wave even exists in that area. So I can have like a color for a wave or something, and then something else to apply. Alright, so it's basically if cells sub I dot m right bits does not equal 0, then the A channel is 255. Otherwise, the A channel is 0. And I guess if I should have if cell sub I dot m magnitude is less than 0, we're going to go from what? I guess I could go from 0 to 0.5. Why is this getting all pissed off? Overloaded match the argument list int float. Alright, should be doing something like this, I believe. So I don't have the normal anywhere here. but I could store the normal in the surface. Actually, the Z should always be 1, so the normal could be stored in only 2 channels. I could store the direction as the normal. How would I store that though? I'd have to do like a normalize on the actual value to get it to work properly. So I don't really want to do that. Why don't we just see what we can do with this? So it should go from 0 to 1, and then we mask out by the A, and we can apply 1 color, and it should work, supposedly. I could also have some sort of blur pass on here where every one of these things writes to the pixels around itself with a smaller amount. Alright, so what I want to do is... What in the hell? What is our bit check? We're getting bad data with our bit field? Let's just see what's going on with that. This is going to be... Let's just try this again. I got all these variables wrong. So we'll see what we can do with this. So that's our alpha. So our alpha channel is getting written properly. The other stuff is not. Alright, so basically what we have to do is we need to go from 0 to 1, should be from min to max. So we want to take our value, divide by 2 times max magnitude, and then we need to clamp it we have to add max magnitude. So we take the magnitude, add the maximum magnitude, divide by 2, and then clamp. Right. So that should take it from 0 to 1. And then we cast to a uint 8. So I think that's what we were already doing before. Except we weren't doing a specific clamp operation, we're doing something else. And we weren't writing the mask bits. Which was interesting there, actually. We needed to write out this 0x001 for some of this to work properly, is what it looked like. Though, that's probably not true. So we just need to get our math right, and then we can go back and do our material and mess around with it and see what we can do. But it's real clear there from some of it I needed a masking effect, otherwise like stuff was getting screwed up. Yeah, so that's our dynamic ripple texture now. And it's getting saved there. Looks like some sprite out of like Doom or something. Like I had this little tiny little circle there. Alright, so what we want to do is, if we take this value and let's just kind of redo this thing from scratch. I want to take this value and then multiply it. Yeah, let's just trash all this. This value goes from 0 to 1 to 0 and all that. So maybe we should just, multiply this value together with our ripple color. So it just looks like that. And then we multiply that by our mask. So we just do our mask multiplication here at the start, and then maybe just multiply that out. So it just looks like this. And that's it. So it just looks like that. Well, let's see if it works. Let's go fix that floating dude. That's what those ripples look like. Alright, so do we need anything else here for this to make it not be trash somehow? Let's test out some other types of waves. So like the wave that we're using right now is a very long-lived wave with a lot of particles, which isn't the best. It lasts for 30 seconds, right? That's just a ridiculous time. Let's give it like a bigger wavelength. It kind of just disappears, like suddenly. So why is that? It has to do with the masking effect, because it's 0.5 there, so you know, maybe I should just set this thing to maybe I should use the absolute value of the thing and just get rid of this positive and negative stuff, because it doesn't matter. Because the 0.5 in there is screwing stuff up. Basically, I have to have 0.5 be 0. So maybe I should just do that. Just overcomplicating the effect a little bit. So it's going to go from, 1 to 0 to 1. And I don't know what it'll look like. I guess I could also still have that preserved, but just take the bit check and multiply this 255 by the magnitude of this thing, or something along those lines. No, that's not. It's not. No, that's not going to work at all. Well, how can I still get this fade out? God, that's the thing, is I need a mask in there, but to get the middle of the wave, because it's a 0, but that's also the thing I use to figure out like the opacity of it. If I use anything else for the opacity, it's still going to be screwed. I just wish I had a, you know, a -1 to 1 sort of value in here, but I don't. It's just I have to do more complex math garbage in there if I want it. Well, let's see what I have to do it. I mean, I could write half the pixels. I could just write the positive ones, and not write the negative ones. That's something I could do, but it's not. We're losing half of our wave. So what we have to do is we have to say that this value, as it goes to 0.5, needs to be multiplied to 0. So we want something, we want a value that goes from 1 to 0 to 1, but it's going to start from 1 to 0.5 to 1. So we need to subtract 0.5 multiply by 2. Alright, so subtract 0.5 multiply by 2. Take the absolute value of it, and then we need a power of it. And then we need to multiply it into this value. So we mask it out, and then we multiply this thing out by another thing. and it doesn't actually fade out properly. Why doesn't it fade out properly? Because it's not at 0.5. Yeah, it's not really doing what I want at all, which is surprising. Like, the magnitude should go to 0. Like, the life invert percent is supposed to be from 1 to 0, and we know that works because we've been using it before and it worked. Maybe let's just hack it in here. Let's just do M max life. So what this is going to do is we want the max life. So like if the max life is less than a specific amount, maybe we can multiply it out or something. So max life is going to go from 1 to 0, and we want it to go from like 1 to 0. We want the last 25% of its life to be clamped. So we want it to go from like 0.25 to 0 linearly. So we like what? Subtract 0.75, 0.25 to negative 0.75. I mean, and then what? Clamp it? No, that's stupid. Just do a branch in there? Fine. So we'll use it as a little bit more than a mask. We'll use it as a mask and like some ridiculous max life stupidity, and that should at least let us do a few things. Kind of just hacking stuff in here to make it look right, but that's fine. Like, we have the right information. It's just translating that information to something we can actually look at that makes sense. That's the whole point of graphics. Well, Frosty has, I am working on these dynamic ripples in the water, trying to make them look proper. Right now I'm making sure they fade out as they should, which they are not. Well, I'm working on getting this thing working properly, but it's slow going at times. So we're taking this color, we're multiplying it by the alpha channel, we have the R channel, and alright, so we're writing our max life. It's going to be the max life of an object. If it's less than 0.25, we're gonna we should be setting it equal to, but it's not working. It's doing some weird. You're researching 3D art so you can make gore for your. Always the best stuff. So what kind of 3D art? Like, I'm guessing you want to make like piles of goo and nasty things all over the ground. So you got to figure out how to make nice little chunks, nice jibs for everything. Alright, so the issue is this max life in the A channel is getting set to something that's wrong. So I mean, this should be, if it's less than 0.25, it's just going to be, well, this value right here should just be max life divided by 0.25, which should go from 0 to 0.25, so why wouldn't it do that? So it goes to 0 there. Oh, well, this should just be 255. Yeah, okay, I'm just being stupid. Basically bones, torso, hearts, juicy looking stuff. Not much 3D art. Made a chess set and that's about it, so it's gonna be art. Yeah, I saw on your channel that you were like, looking for 3D artists, help me. Yeah, it's one of the things I'm working with Adam, who's my artist dude over in Australia, and he's been learning a lot of 3D animation because he's done like 2D stuff for the last whatever 30 years. So he's having to pick up ZBrush and learn all this ridiculous stuff and trying to do that. And he's had people dropping into his channel and telling him like all these ridiculous programs to use, and he's going through it just like, Jesus Christ, there's so much to learn. So let's see, do these things fade out now? I hope so. They do. Alright, let's see how the stupid little floating fat dudes work. I'm pretty much thinking that's done. Like, I mean, I could take a stab at doing some normals for this, but there's only so much we're going to get out of it. Animation isn't fun unless you have a motion tracking suit, which is about $50,000. Well, not only do you need the motion tracking suit, but you need the studio in which to use it. Or whatever. But good luck. Yeah, at least for 3D animation stuff, like either you need to have somebody who can rig up some ridiculous model and get some. Well, Karakan, I think you have a bias in your opinion of animation being amazing. So let me think. If I'm gonna do anything with normals, like I've got two channels left over in this texture I can plug in here. They're in world space, so I could try to write the direction in there, but could I normalize it inside of the pixel shader? No. I need positive and negative though for the value. That's not the worst thing in the world though. So I could try writing the direction into the G and B. And we'll throw that in there. And all right, well, let's see if it works. We'll write the direction in here. So try writing those directions, and we'll see what we can get away with. Originally wired up to my and work instant tracking only movement, so you can in theory do it in your bedroom. Well, you know, time for a small business loan. Nah, you need to find somebody who's already got all that stuff, and then you need to like take them out drinking, and then you need to get them real drunk, and then you need to be like, you know what would be cool? You know what would be cool if we went and messed around with those motion tracking suits, and since you're making a horror game, right? You're like, let's make stuff like people murdering each other, and yeah, I think that's all you need. I need to spell rights properly. Alright, so cells data index dot rights plus plus and all that. And cells data index dot endures plus equals what? Part dot endure? Because I also looked up this. Well, we got new pos x and y plus equals this, so it's going to be like new pos minus blah. So I'm gonna have to. The direction is not this. It's like the old pause minus the new pause. Let's just we're gonna fake this anyway a little bit. So let's just see if it's even useful to start with. Either that or spend 15k. Well, it depends, right? I don't know. Yeah, pretty much the only way that I got an artist on my team is the way Adam and I actually I ran into him once at work, and then like 3 years later he was randomly having trouble with stuff with his server on Facebook, so I just like volunteered to help him out. And then, 5 years after that, I was just like, hey, well, maybe we could work on something else. And so I don't know, getting an artist and everything, I think, have you tried going to any conventions or anything in your area? I know, like, when I went to Steam Dev Days last October, there's quite a few people who had art. They're like, I can draw, I can do all these things, but I can't program. And I think it was more common to have people who had like ideas about stuff and had art skills than people who actually had technical skills. And it looks like, at least from what I've seen, you're doing blueprints and all the rest there. You know your tech. Alright, so if we have our direction, we're going to need to make this positive and negative, because we don't have much else in here. So it has to go from like 0 to 1. We're going to have to clamp it somehow. If we divide by the number of rights, we should get the direction. Theoretically, the directions are already normalized, so we should just be able to snag it. Salsify dot So this should take it from -1 to 1. So we should be able to add 128, 127 to it. Well, add 1 to it. If we add 1, divide by 2, and then add 127, we should remap it properly. So theoretically, this will give us our direction. Let's see if it's even close. That's true. You don't have many conventions in the UK? Ah, yeah, that sucks. That's one of the advantages of being over in the States and over on the west coast of the States is, I just have to drive over to Seattle or get down to San Francisco. Though I think there's a lot of artists who like to draw horrible, nasty things, so at least you got that going for you. I know one of the things that one of my friends, he has a bunch of, he kind of does his own indie thing, but he'll get people who are just out of university or something like that, and a lot of the times these people have visas to be in the country, only while they're in college, and like between college and getting a job, there's a lot of people who need something officially to work on, even if it's unpaid, just to be like, I am actually employed doing something. So he gets a bunch of people, kind of helps them out, between college and work, because he's got his own company, which is, just a one-person company or whatever, and he doesn't pay him anything, but, he'll give him, I think he does pay him something or whatever, I don't know, it's kind of like a contract sort of thing, and they don't get deported, and he gets art from them, and kind of art or whatever from them, and it's like a win-win, right? Helps dudes out, and also gets some cheaper stuff from people who are maybe not industry experienced, but at least they have motivation and time to keep working on stuff. So if we got these normals in here, I need to make a float 3 out of this variable, which is going to be, I think z is up, so it's x, y, and this is just a constant 1. And what I want to do is I'm going to map this from, this is going to go from 0 to, -1 to 0 to 1. I need to subtract 0.5 multiplied by 2 to remap this properly into positive and negative 1s for these values. So let's see if we can actually get this working here. So this should be nothing because that texture doesn't even have anything in it. And this should be a constant 1. Alright, we're going to need to normalize this. And then that's going to be the normal that we add in, I think, down here. This is our normal. We don't even need to normalize this. Like, we can just add it and just see what happens. Alright, so let's multiply this normal by our opacity for our ripples, and then add it into our normals as we do everything else. So let's see, yeah, I've thought about people at college. I think it might be easier once my trailer is made. Should be at the end of the month. That's true. Getting good people is all that. Well, thank you, MyMafe, but these are not actual textures. This is just a bunch of data which has been shoved together, and we're messing with stuff. We're getting our dynamic ripples actually. We're on the normals of it. I'm just looking at pictures of gore, hoping none of it is actually real. Okay, yeah. One of the funny things, I used to work at EA on the executive floor, which is the same floor as Visceral, so that's Dead Space and everything. And so like the first time that the guys at Dead Space, the art director, got like, okay, we need to make like this horrible, scary game. He had like a whole day where he took all the artists into a room and he showed them like pictures of car crashes and like mutilated bodies and like horrible gore, and like people were getting sick, and just like a lot of like half of them had to go home early, and it was really funny. It was just like, this is gonna be a dark day, like you're gonna look at horrible things, and then we're gonna be spending the next years and years actually making all this stuff. It's just like, it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, really? Alright, so we'll see if these normals actually... You think you've heard of that? Sounds like a great day. Yeah. That was an interesting studio. Alright, so it looks like we do have some normals in there. They don't look right, though. And it also lowered our frames per second by quite a bit. Doing the normal stuff on that. It's not really adding much either. Yeah, I'm just gonna... I don't think we need the normals in this. So I'm just gonna take that out. I didn't think it was gonna add anything or add much. So let's just not do that. From the beginning of Dead Space 1 to the launch of Dead Space 3. Yeah, that studio, like... The thing is, Dead Space really didn't make much money, which kind of sucked, because, like, a new intellectual property, you know, actual... Yeah, shame about Dead Space 3. It's true. At that point, it was like, they're shipping Dead Space 3, but, like, everybody at the studio already knew that their studio was screwed, because there was no way to make the money back. So it was, like, the atmosphere on that floor, like, I wasn't working on that team, but I had friends who were on that team, and they were all just, let's just say the lights were always real dim over in their area.